Welcome to another episode of the Courageous Me podcast. And today I am joined by the very clever and talented Ksenia Belova, who is a personal branding photographer and empowerment coach extraordinaire. And interestingly enough, she has got to be one of the most beautiful souls, I think, to embrace this planet. And also super, super high energy. So I guess putting the two of us together is going to be an interesting one in terms of energy on this Ksenia. But just for those who don't know you, can you just give us a little bit of a background around how did you come to be doing the work you're doing with the people that you do it with?
Thank you so much, Kim, for first of all for having me here and for the beautiful introduction. So for me, energy is everything. So all my work that I do is all around energy. So I have to be really high energy to be able to deliver the results to my beautiful clients and to really create the best experience. And in terms of my background, if my personal background, I'm coming from Russia, moved to Italy when I was 17, then moved to Australia 12 years ago, became a photographer. So this is a short story. And then I started working, different events in my life brought me to personal development. And so I started doing a lot of personal development and really being aware of the importance of the energy, both for myself, for my well-being, and also for my work. And the more I work on myself, the more, the better results I get, and the more I enjoy my work, and the more aligned I am.
Yeah, so what work do you actually do? Tell me a bit more about that, because I know that that's how we initially were introduced.
Yes, so I am a personal branding photographer and empowerment coach, and I work predominantly with women, and I help business women in service, usually service-based, purpose-driven women, to get out there, to show themselves out there, in order then to connect with their audiences, to really show themselves authentically. And you were a perfect example of someone who was like really, during our photo shoot, really bold, really like, yes, I'm doing it, I'm just going all in. So yeah.
But do you know what? I give you credit for this, because I've had a lot of photo shoots over my life. I've had to, just through work and trying to at least keep any visuals of me reasonably up to date. And we do tend to change as we get older. You were the only one, though, that I'd ever come across that you actually wanted to know about me as a person before we did the photo shoot. You wanted to know about the things that were important to me, the things that made me tick. And I remember even doing the photos and, sometimes sitting there smiling for 2 or 3 hours is not always the easiest thing. But it felt so like an empowerment journey doing that with you. And when I then got the photos back, I felt like I could see my soul in that reflection. I have never experienced that before. Tell me about that. How do you do that, and why do you do it?
Oh, thank you. I'm emotional. How do I do it? I do it intuitively. I'm really connected with my intuition. I think one of my biggest superpowers is connection and reading people and tapping into their energy. Again, energy comes up even here, because it's all about, for me, it's all about really understanding and feeling the person and feeling what stage they're at. And with everyone, I'm like a chameleon. I'm different with different clients. So if for someone like you who's very high energy, I would be even higher energy on the shoot. So I'll push your limits. I'll push your boundaries, because I want you to get out of your comfort zone and really, do something that you have never done. With other clients who are a little bit more conservative, I have different approach. So I just feel what's best for everyone, and I flow. I dance, literally, and and metaphorically. I literally just, we dance together because it's never just me, guiding my clients. It's also my clients trusting me, surrendering, and we are creating the magic together. It's never one side. It's like a two-side conversation. When it flows, the best results are created. So I think the secret is just really trusting on both ways.
And how do you do that? Because I mean, in theory, that sounds amazing. And by the way, having experienced it firsthand, I know that it's not just metaphoric, it is actually how it works. It felt like we were dancing. That's exactly how it felt. Where did this come from? Okay, because photography is photography, and there's plenty of photographers around there. So yes, it was intuitive, but tell me more about that. And also, you said you were very big into personal development, and what set you out on that journey, and how does that journey then play into what you're doing?
Very good question, Kim. Thank you. So my intuition, I've always been intuitive, but my intuition started growing with the trust in myself and with self-belief. And that came out of personal development, because the more I learned about myself, the more I understood that there is nothing wrong with me, there is nothing to fix, that I am who I am. There are things to work on, past traumas and different things in the past, but I am who I am. I am a whole human being, and I'm good enough right now. And that self-belief and that confidence is of being worthy of love, of a successful career, of a beautiful home, like of living in a great country. All this comes aligns with the intuition as well, because everything I do just happens because I manifest it, and it just all flows. A lot of circumstances, things happen, and a lot of synchronicities as well, which again, it just proves that if I set my mind on something, things happen. And to answer your question about personal development, so the first thing that really triggered the personal development journey was my divorce. Yes, so
Tell me about that. And how old were you?
So this was 5 years ago, and I went through, it was not like a bad divorce, but obviously any divorce, any relation, like end of relationship, is really hurtful, and there was a lot of grief. But I've realized that I have completely lost myself in my marriage. My choice, like nothing. It was a beautiful relationship for 10 years, but I didn't know who I was anymore. And when we ended the relationship, I realized I didn't know who I was. And I went into a dark space, and I realized that I really had to find some external help. And this is how, again, things happened. And I've met the right people who helped me along the journey, and I've done a lot of healing. I've done, during lockdowns, I've done NLP training and became NLP Master Coach. So it just all happened because there was so much curiosity to get to know myself, and to not even reinvent, to reconfirm myself, and find who I was truly, not just a wife of.
Oh, absolutely. And personal development is a journey, right? I don't think I know anyone on the planet who's embarked on this journey and gone, okay, fully now, I'm fully developed. I'm a human in its entire form. Off, we don't need to do any more of that.
Yeah.
So has the journey been a smooth ride for you?
No. It's a definite no.
Okay, tell me about it.
So I guess it's all ups and downs. It's a very exciting journey. Sometimes things that you discover, and when you really strip off the layers, they might be very uncomfortable. They might be disappointing, because we have sometimes a vision of ourselves, of a certain way, and then you find out that, ooh, maybe that's not exactly how it is, you get disappointed because you set high expectations, right? And so, yeah, it's kind of always been up and down, because sometimes when you go in the, which is totally fine because everything is balanced, it can't be always up. But yeah, it's quite a lot of shadow work as well, and acceptance of the parts of yourself that are still part of you, and which is I actually found recently because I've been through a bit of a roller coaster in my life recently for different reasons, but I found that there were some parts that I've never accepted, that I've always run away from. And so it's been an interesting journey to observe also, and find out like what real self-love is, that is different for what I thought it was.
Oh, can you tell me about that? So where have those differences really played out between so what you thought self-love was
Yeah.
and what you're experiencing self-love in reality?
So I thought, and I'm a big on self-love. I always talk about self-love and, love yourself and everything else. It's very easy to love someone who is always positive, always happy, a good girl, right? So what I have found out, like in the recent experiences, that there were some parts that were not as good girl parts. And I didn't want to actually accept them. I was rejecting them. But I realized that I was rejecting them all the time. And it just like one morning I woke up and I burst into tears, because I realized that if I don't accept these parts that are still part of me, I don't love myself fully.
Are you able to share an example of that, just so that somebody listening in would go, that's what she means?
Well, I've had some work on ego, and ego came up, and there was a lot of conflict between myself and self-judgment of the way I felt about myself and about some other people. And again, I tend not to judge at all, because everyone has their story, everyone has their journey. But I found myself actually, like I was aware, because I'm very self-aware, I was aware that I was judging myself and doing guilt trips of feeling resentment, feeling judgment, and just I was feeling that I was not being the good person, even though nothing really major, but it was just like the internal dialogue. So I was constantly in conflict with myself, like, oh, you need to be this because this is who you are. But then my subconscious and my heart was like, no, but I don't feel this. And so then it's mind and heart crashing, and so it's a lot of kind of different realizations.
Oh, I love that, mind and heart clashing. And just that's interesting. We often are subject to the expectations that others have on us and what society has on us. And like, I should be that good girl, or I should have felt like that.
Yes.
But then the reality of it not playing out. So how do you address this? Like, what have you done? You've got this realization that there's this clashing of the head and the heart. So where did you go to try and get them back more in alignment with each other?
So first of all, I was sitting with it. I allowed myself to feel, because I have a lot of tools on through all the courses that I've done and what I've studied. I have a lot of tools to shift states of mind, and just an energetic state. But I decided actually not to do it, because I had this like really strong, again, intuition that I had to sit with it. I had to experience the wholeness of that downside of that low end of state, because I'm very energetic. I'm always like, go, 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 like, and here I was on the other end. So I was like an Alice in Wonderland, picking in, obviously hurting because it is painful, it is very uncomfortable, but I was picking in and like, oh, okay, let's see, and just observing, sitting and observing. But knowing that anytime I could rely on people and external help, because I'm surrounded by amazing network that I can go to, and then they can help me shift if I'm really stuck. And also, again, giving me self-love. But self-love in this case was just giving myself permission to be without any judgment. So that was the big, like, really surrender. This was a really good exercise, an experience of true surrender. Like floating on water, literally, and just without like trying to, because what happens is when you try and force yourself to get out of it, like at any, because obviously it's uncomfortable, you don't want to sit in that state for long, and you try to get out, and if you're in the water you would drown if you just try too hard, because you will lose energy, you will become tired, your muscles become tired, you can't breathe anymore. So here I was just, okay, I'll just wait for help.
Wow. And yeah, I can imagine sitting with the discomfort is not pleasant, especially when you're someone who knows that you can get out of it at any time through your own training, the tools you've got access to, and a really strong support network. What do you think the benefits, and that's courageous too, I mean, given this whole theme is about courage and being courageous, what benefits do you think it's given you in your life, in your work and whatever, having sat through that discomfort, given that you are someone that is so upbeat and positive and high energy most of the time? Yet what are the benefits of doing that?
Appreciation of the high energy state. Realization that everything has a balance. Black and white. You can't have light without the darkness. And this was a perfect example for me, because I haven't really experienced it to this degree, because I've always run away from it. I was grabbing a ticket and flying somewhere and distracting myself.
Why didn't you run this time?
I couldn't. The universe created this situation. I had no passport. I had other commitments. I could not literally leave. So I was meant to be and to experience it. And I think the level of compassion and empathy have increased a lot. I am very compassionate and empathetic, but having experienced it myself, I now know what people go through and how it can feel. And I felt as if I was feeling hurt and pain for the whole humanity. And it's really hard to explain, but I just felt that it was just so big, but I still had this experience to again get to the next level of understanding of humans and getting really tuning into all the different facets, not just the happy side. The happy side is good, but it can't be always happy. It's unhealthy actually.
Well, it's not normal either. I mean, I come from a long line of very, very happy people, and there has to be some balance.
Yeah.
Even you can't keep your phone on charge 100% of the time. It needs to actually wear down and then turn off at some point, or otherwise it goes crazy. So, yeah. And so with all of that, and someone who is very, very self-aware and very attuned to your own emotion and the messages that it's giving you, what do you reckon one of your biggest fears is?
And this is something that I've actually also realized recently. And I was surprised because I've never been scared of failure, because I have proved myself that whatever I do, I actually can manage to do it well. Or I just don't do it. But what I've discovered is the opposite. I had fear of success.
Oh, now this is one I love. Tell me about it. What is, because I'm sure there's people going out there thinking, what? What do you mean fear of success? What's
Yeah,
that?
I was also shocked when through different thoughts and going really deep and with different sessions, I realized that that was it. So what happened is last year I had the best year in my business, in my personal life. Like everything was just so big. Like a lot of things happened. I won awards. I wrote a chapter in a multi-author book. It was like financially the best year, best clients, like everything in flow, everything easy, everything coming to me, and I froze. At a certain point, again, one morning, I woke up and like, what if, what if I lose this momentum? So I started overthinking my head instead of just being and enjoying the flow, catching the momentum, and just like really enjoying that state because I've worked so hard. And then when I got it, I was like, oops, what do I do with it? And what if, this all finishes? How will I feel? Or I started getting invitations to different things that were bigger than I thought. Like even writing a book was like a really big thing, like very out of my comfort zone. And I felt like, oh, maybe, yeah, like if I become too successful, then I won't have time. So I started overthinking and seeing what success is, like real success, and like I won't have time, or people will see me as arrogant, or like there were so many different things that came into place, and I literally just put a break. And
Wow.
and so I had to do quite a few work on that too, like a lot of like different sessions to really uncover where it was coming from, and a lot of things were coming from my childhood, obviously, like as we know, and there were quite a few things that I didn't even think that they were just in my subconscious. And so I was connecting success to those episodes or what I've experienced with my parents and etc. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go there. But it's only because I put my brain there, and I got my brain to, like my mind to actually get control, which I shouldn't have done. I should have just, again, surrendered to the experience.
But isn't it funny because most people start going down a journey because things have gone pear-shaped. So, for example, your personal development journey started when you went through a divorce. Here you are on the flip side. You've had your best year ever. You've won awards. Congratulations. You've written a chapter in a book, which I have read and I've loved, which was about you. And I know that would be vulnerability in its own right. So on the top of all of this, this is where you've gone, wow, these feelings and these things are coming out that you need to address. And yet that's at the top of your game. So what do you think has been a turning point? And do you think you're still in that place, or do you feel more comfort with success? Where are you at the moment?
I am in a very good place right now. I think that my strength is that I can concentrate all the feelings and just decide, put a deadline to a state and say, okay, by that date I'm out of it, and it is. So I'm very organized with myself. But what in terms of I am very comfortable because I have done different energy sessions to reduce the charge of the emotion, of the negative emotion that was sitting, and there was a lot of grief sitting in me that I associated with success. Everyone will have different feelings. Obviously, we're all different, so everyone has different reasons of feeling different fears, right? So for me, it was a lot of grief and loss of different things, again connected to my childhood, and so once I reduce the charge of that emotion, so I'm not triggered by that anymore. So when you don't have triggers, that means that you're going, okay, all right, and you just keep flowing, and the engine is up and running again. I put some oil in it and now it's smoother.
It's funny how engines work better with oil. Says me, whose car broke down one day because the engine seized, and when the RACV came, they said, you need to put oil in your car. It's now completely broken and dead. So yes, even humans need oiling, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I ask you, you said earlier on about your identity and who you thought you were, and that through a lot of the personal development realized maybe you weren't that person. How big a role do you think our identity and who we think we are versus who we are plays out in our everyday?
Whew.
Quite a big one.
Look, I think for me it was all about conditioning and how I brought up, and a lot of projections that my parents, my mom had on me. Well, obviously not like with good intentions, but it's a lot of thoughts that she wanted me to become someone who she never managed to become. So she wanted me to be little her.
And what did that involve? What was little her doing?
But she wanted me to work in a hotel and be like a hotel manager. She wanted me to speak different languages, to travel, which, I mean, it's all fun stuff. But, and also do different sports. So as a kid, I did so many different sports, but I never like I was good at everything, but I never got passionate about anything because I felt like it was not my thing. Well, I didn't feel like, obviously I was just doing because your mom is a role model. And so I think I got so used to being told what to do, who to be, that I didn't even know. And this was interesting because you don't know what you don't know, right? So I didn't know that you could start questioning yourself, And now we're so fortunate living in this world that we have so many resources, free resources available. And everything is here if you want it. And we have everything inside of us. We just need to tap into it. But again, I didn't know that. So I have built my identity in a certain way that appealed to others. Because again, it was easy to deal with me. It was easy to love me because I was a good girl. Yeah. And so when I started to rebel with myself and realizing that, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing so? I've become like two different, I'm still me, like it's not that it's a different person, but I just came to realization that now I can really be me. And if I want to be bold and if I want to go like rah rah, I will do it because why not?
Oh, yeah, gee. Oh, man, I see so much of our stories being so similar. I love that. I wanted to rebel. I want to be. Tell me about a time when you've rebelled in the sense that you're talking about.
I think like a big example as a bigger picture is my business. So I am not building my business on how others want me to be. Like obviously I create a service that is in demand and I'm good at, but why am I good at it? Because I shoot with my heart, not with my mind. And because I have that energy that is pure, authentic energy. And so I don't look what other photographers do. I don't compare myself. Like I used to, but I don't anymore because I don't believe in competition, because everyone is different. Because everyone, like people come to me because of me. Yes, I take good photos, but they come to me because of me. And so that was, I think, the biggest realization for me, saying, okay, this is my business, my rules. I can do whatever feels good to me. I'm in the business because I feel fulfilled and I feel happy in doing what I do. And so I think that was the biggest rebellion. I didn't want to, because if I was looking just what was around, and I was like, oh, okay, do headshots this way, you know, like even all the little things, bits and pieces, and you've done my shoots, you know it. I have no rules. My only rule is to be yourself, or try to really get it out, you know, have fun, and just be in the moment, and you know, have the best day. That's my only rule. The rest, and that's the rebellion. That's the rebellion, because I don't care. Like, I don't care what people think at all.
Which ironically, that rebellion has, I think, turned you into the best photographer I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget on our photo shoot, and you said to me in advance, you know, what are we into? And I talked about baseball and roller skating, and you said, bring any props you want. And I'm thinking, props for a professional photo shoot? That was interesting. And we did photo shoots with my baseball bat and with my roller skates on, and we played with colours. And I loved that there were times when it's like, let's just even experiment with the backgrounds. And you grabbed an old work ladder that was sitting there, and we put that in the photo shoot with this princess pink skirt on. Like, it was the most heartfelt experience. And that came through, and I remember when you shared all the proofs with me, and there were hundreds of them. And besides the one where, you know, I had a kooky face, or, you know, didn't like that angle of myself, I loved them all. And I never, ever, ever have said that about a photo, because I've never felt like it's captured who I was inside. You did that in one photo shoot, and it was magical. Magical. So I think it's almost a disservice to call you a personal branding photographer, because it is so much more than that. But you've got to therefore keep your energy high, right? I think that's absolutely part of your signature style. But there must be days, like, forget about the times when you've done the deep work on yourself, because that's not a quick fix. But there must be days where your energy is a little bit lower, or a little bit flatter, or even a moment. How do you get around that? What are some sort of quick fixes that raise your vibration or get your energy higher? Because it has to be, because you've got a client walking in the door, or you're on show somewhere. How do you do that?
Yeah, so for me, keeping that level of energy is very important, because I work with energy, and I have to have enough energy to hold space. And sometimes it can be very vulnerable space, well, most often. For me, there are several things that work really well. I am very connected with nature. I need grounding. So I'm Pisces as a star sign, so I'm all water, all emotional, emotional and creative. So I need to be around water, going to the ocean, even just like looking at the ocean, having a hot, long shower helps so much. So it just relaxes me, even walking on the grass or walking on the beach. So this is one. Something like really quick fix is changing the energy in your body, as in moving. You can jump, I sometimes put the craziest, like my favorite song is Don't Stop Me Now from Freddie Mercury. I put that song, and immediately I just get my mood shifted, and I'm like, yes, okay, I'm going there. I set intentions, like I sit, I do like a little meditation. I sit even 5 minutes and grounding myself and breathing in. Breathing helps a lot, and really setting an intention, because I cannot afford to be in a negative state, because for me, reputation is everything. And I have to give, like, I decide, this is my obvious decision, like, I need to give the best experience to every client. It's not fair if they are not getting full me, if I'm not in the best space. So I am responsible and I'm accountable with myself and with my clients to always be at my best. Again, so it costs me money, literally. So yeah, so these are my quick fixes. So just like little moves, dances, or yeah, cuddle a puppy, and like even watch some silly videos on Instagram, like from cats, you know, falling from the kitchen bench. I don't know, like.
But it's funny, isn't it? Sometimes it is these simple things. I'm obsessed with dad jokes, really corny dad jokes, and I subscribe to all these dad joke sites. And if ever I need that quick little, uplift of energy, I literally just go onto one of my dad joke sites, and within seconds I feel that laughter and that joy rising up, and it brings my energy back up to the surface. Yeah. And I do believe, you said that if your energy's down, it costs you money. And it does. And no matter what, especially in the business where you're dealing with people, I do believe it's all about managing energy. And that means appropriately doing it. Sometimes it means, raising it. Sometimes it means bringing it down, depending on the environment, the circumstances, and what it's like. Given you are always so positive and upbeat, how do you sit with being vulnerable?
Whew. So vulnerability, because I work a lot with people who are vulnerable with me, I have also learned to be, it's a little bit harder for me to be vulnerable, because there's this tough Russian coming. And I'm like, no, I cannot be vulnerable. Like, vulnerability is weakness. This is how I thought before. Now, actually, I see it as such a courageous thing to do, to be vulnerable. But it also comes to trust, because I think if we've been hurt a lot, it's really hard to be vulnerable, because you protect yourself and you don't want to go in that space and again be hurt. So you have to feel absolutely safe with the person who you are vulnerable with. I think that's number one thing. And I have been also doing a lot of work on vulnerability, because I have a lot to share. And for example, even my book, it was one of those things that was like the first big official vulnerability moment, of getting myself out there and telling my story, because vulnerability can help others to relate. So there's so much strength in it. And I've realized that, so there were a few people who read my chapter and they could relate to different parts of my chapter, of my life. And that was just, I'm like, wow, there's so much power in words and in sharing your story authentically, because someone else can read it or can listen to it. And if they relate, they don't feel lonely anymore. They don't feel like they're the only one experiencing this. So that's why I think it's so important to share not just successes and wins and congratulate each other, like obviously, yes, support, absolutely, but also to be there and hold space without trying to fix anything. Just hold, like, you are so good at holding space. You are amazing. Like, you are just, you make anyone feel safe and seen. To get someone to feel seen and heard, it's a gift, and we can all do it if we just mindfully do it, if we're aware of it. But so it's powerful. It's creating that really deep connection.
I completely agree. And a big part of this podcast, and why I've called it Courageous Me, is, and a commitment I've made to it, is to be vulnerable, because I would also say that over the years, and always being the person that's uplifting and trying to create space for others to be vulnerable, I've probably not been as much myself. I've tried to keep that good girl kind of perfect persona. And hey, let's get real, nobody's perfect. And gee, I've been doing a lot of inner work like you have too, but working on being vulnerable, sharing where things are not perfect, even something as simple as asking for help. To me, that was weakness and vulnerability, just what you said before. I'm not Russian, but still that sign of weakness if I can't do it all myself. Yet in actual fact, as somebody who gets asked to do things and asked to do favors, I love it when people ask me. So it was almost like, well, if I love it so much, if I'm not asking others, I could be depriving them of the pleasure of helping me out. And by the way, people can say no, right? They don't have to say yes. But yeah, I love, and can you just share what your book is? Because when I read that, and I already knew you and knew a bit about you, but as I read it, you're right, where someone can relate, then they don't feel so alone. So sharing your vulnerability also allows you to give that gift to others, and one line or one word or one comment that could actually change their lives just from sharing or hearing your story that you shared. What is the book?
So I'll show you the book.
Ooh la la, it's pink.
I know, we didn't do it on purpose. So it's called Magnetic Abundance, and it's a collection of stories from women from all over the world, talking about what is abundance for each of them. And so my life, so I it's really, to be honest, it's really hard to talk about your life in only one chapter. I had enough content to write like the full book. I realized this when I started writing, but it's really hard to condense it. And so I have divided my chapter into traveling. So I'm talking about places where I lived in and the pivotal points and how they basically brought like traveling brought to myself. And this is what abundance is to me as well. So I'm talking from about the journey from coming from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset and what it means to me. So I'm not going to tell you anything, because if you want to read it, you can purchase it on Amazon. It's actually a #1 bestseller, so I'm very proud of it. So it's all about abundance. Has been a big word for me last year and this year. So I was really connected to the book, and I know quite a few authors there. They actually, some of them are my clients, which it just happened, just happened again, as many things. So I'm very, it's been a beautiful journey, like very colorful.
Oh, I love color.
Yeah, me too.
And funny we're talking about abundance, because my word for this year is actually abundance. And I know you can't see, but I've got it written all around my office. And I definitely believe abundance touches so much of your life, so much of the work that we do and what we bring to the table. And it's certainly a topic for another stage. But those who do want your book, I'll put a link in the show notes for how they can actually buy it. Because I loved reading it. I loved reading your story. There's other people I know who were co-authors and loved reading their stories and insights that you don't necessarily know about others. So Ksenia, given you are someone that does go out of their way to do things, courage is a word that I would associate when I think of you, along with energy. What's your courageous next step? So what's something that you've probably got to reach in and really find that courage from deep within as part of the journey next? What is it?
Even thinking about it, I already got like, contraction in my belly. So And this is a big thing because if I say it out loud, it means, I'm putting it out in the universe. So I'll just do it because I love taking risks. I like, doing things that are very out of my comfort zone. So my next courageous move is to actually get on stage and speak about my experiences, and also again, being vulnerable. I'm ready to be vulnerable, and speak and inspire and motivate. Like, you are such an inspiration for me as a speaker too, so I always look up to you. So I feel like, yeah, why not? Like, I want to reach bigger audiences. I want to touch more hearts. And again, even if I can reach one person and they can, get this beautiful feeling of increase and like just the feeling of, relatability again and gratitude, I guess, then I've done my job.
Oh, just even talking to you on this podcast, I've got a feeling of increase. What scares you about getting on a stage, given you have got one of the most beautiful, inspiring stories? You are so eloquent in your words. The work you do lifts others up all the time. What scares you about a stage?
You're pushing my buttons.
I'm going to make you get on a stage. It was the last thing I ever do, Ksenia.
I know you will.
You are withdrawing your gifts from so many more people by not being on a stage.
I don't know. I think that's my mind that is playing. Like, if I speak from my heart, if I don't prepare anything, and if I just literally speak from my heart, I can deliver it. But then, because I know, like, on stage you have to do a lot of, like, there has to be structure. My fear is that I will get. I will forget the words, I'll be nervous, I'll be like, because there's a lot to consider when you're on stage. You have to connect with people, you have to look in their eyes, you have to really talk to each and one of them, but then be calm. Like, it's actually like, it's my next challenge, because I think this is such a great part of personal development as well. Like,
if you want any personal development, seriously, go and talk on a stage.
Yeah.
You get it all shoved right down in front
Yes.
of you in one big foul swoop.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not even at the time. It's the lead up to it, the feelings that go through your body, that, oh my God, I'm not good enough. What if people don't like it? What if I forget what I'm going to say? And from my experience, none of that happens if you're talking from the heart, and if you're allowing yourself to be you. And that is something I feel you've mastered. And I know it's a journey and a continuing journey, but you are one person that absolutely shows up as herself in your true Ksenia style, with your identity as you choose. And all you need to do, therefore, is to bring that to the table. And you're going to rock it. Oh, wow. And next time we jump on this podcast, you're going to tell me about all the stages you've spoken on and how I still get nervous when I get up and speak on a stage. Still get nervous. But I know how to do it. I know that I get past it. I know that I get off that stage at the end and go, woohoo, let me do that again. And you will too. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it.
I think it's because it's just such a new thing. It's like writing a book. Now I've written a book, like a chapter. It's not as scary anymore. I can write another one. So I think it's that one. I don't have the evidence yet that I can.
And how do you get the evidence, Ksenia?
By doing it.
Surprise, surprise. Oh my goodness. We could seriously talk all day. Yes, you are part author, part empowerment coach. You also are a photographer. So if there's anyone listening that, well, they all need you, but how do they go about going through the experience, which gives them that whole personal branding footprint, because they get photos out of it? How do people work with you in that respect?
So from work in terms of
As a photographer.
As a photographer.
If I wanted to sign up with you, how does it work?
Yeah. So I I love to make it very simple for my clients. So I have a connection call first just to see if we have a good fit, because I need to have people who are aligned and who are at the same wavelength. And after that, I send a very extensive questionnaire where I ask quite a few deep questions on your personal brand, but not only, but also on what drives you, what's your purpose. So we're going deep, and this is really good actually for some people to ask these questions and to use maybe eventually in their business. So it's kind of like a business coaching session, tiny bit. And in the studio, it's all-inclusive experience. I've got hair and makeup artists on site, so we do the beautiful preparation. We have a 3-hour shoot in the studio. You can bring as many outfits as you like. We play, we do dress ups, we have fun, we put fun music, just dance if we want to, or just sit and talk, like whatever. Like there are no rules. And then the best, and it's all about trusting and being you, like as I've said before, because if you are you, like there is no one else like you, like no one else, like you are the unique person. And it is true, like we're all unique.
Totally. And if you need some of that uniqueness to be captured in photos, I cannot recommend getting a photo shoot done. If you need to update your website, you need any sort of marketing or just personal branding, Ksenia is absolutely your girl, and it is the most beautiful experience of all. Thank you. In closing, I want to really thank you for sharing with us, for being vulnerable and, letting us on the inside, letting us see some of what goes on behind the scenes from someone who is always so upbeat and so high energy, and who always leaves people feeling that level of increase after they've met. So grateful for you. I will put all the details of how people can get in touch with you in the show notes. But do reach out to her, read her book, get in touch. It will literally, it's like, rainbows and fairy floss at your beck and call, but with a real touch of earth and groundedness and inspiration. You're a delight, you change people's lives, and you're just a beautiful human. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm crying. Thank you.